Well, we're back in Walsburg.
That is a small little town. I remember driving by the sign all the time, but I never have been here.
And me neither, and I'd swear I'm back in the Heber Valley. We're actually in a valley just in the mountains above Heber. But gee, what a beautiful place.
Oh, all these little small towns. I grew up in a small area like this where it was, but they are just really picturesque.
And of course, what's actually brought us up here is the Richard Erickson collection. Now the Richard Erickson Foundation, because he and his wife passed away and left the land and the collection and everything to volunteers who come up here, and then a lot of the equipment that's up here has been added by the volunteers.
Well, it's just amazing how many of these old like hit and miss tractors are around. I didn't actually count them all, but there's a lot.
Yeah, I'd say over 100.
Oh, easy, easy.
And a lot of these are from the original Erickson collection, but then a lot of them are ones that people have just brought here.
I'm just glad because this kind of thing needs to be preserved.
And about half of them run on gasoline and the other half are steam engines.
Right, and others are just cute as a cross-cut button. I wouldn't even know what to do with it. It's too cute to use.
Some of these look more like some sort of model as opposed to an actual farm equipment. But no, they're small, but they're still just actual farm equipment. And then some of them are gigantic, like a dinosaur is gigantic.
Well, some of these just look like a toy or something, but you know that they're not. It's probably just somebody with a very small farm.
And the really small ones all seem to be steam powered.
Right.
Which is really intriguing to me. And then, of course, some of the things up here are actual automobiles.
Right.
And we already looked at this Model T conversion into a snowmobile. The company that made these called them both Snowmobile and Snowbird.
Right.
But the name Snowmobile really stuck, and well, it's with us to this day.
That's right. And remember, Santa Claus is coming to town.
But speaking of toys, a 1970 Model T, they made these things, and they're just so fun. My brother had one, and his son, Matt, took it over, and Matt just drove the wheels off of this thing.
Well, I would too.
And check out all of the, because the Erickson collection, we think of it as being these really ancient pieces of industrial equipment and farm equipment, but there's just as many museum class automobiles here as well.
This is one of my favorites, is a 40 Ford. I just love the look of those. They remind me of a crouched animal ready to pounce.
Well, and this is that streamline era.
Right.
When everybody wanted everything streamlined, but cars still had fenders. At least the Fords did.
Right.
Well, the Mercury had gone to slab side, but everybody else was still doing fenders. And look at the streamlined fenders. And speaking of streamlining, check out the Mullins trailer.
Isn't that neat?
And I love that they've painted it to match the car. But a streamlined teardrop trailer for just hauling your camping gear around.
Right. I mean, go on a family picnic or something. They did those things back in the day, you know.
A little more so than today. But
exactly.
Look at the beauty and fog lights.
I love it.
I don't think it gets better than that.
No.
And this, speaking of streamlined, a Zephyr.
Boy, and that's another one.
A Lincoln Zephyr.
Right.
I don't think that in the streamlined era they made, and in terms of American cars, you get into the French cars and all bets are off. But I don't think anything was more streamlined than the Lincoln Zephyr. Even the logo is streamlined.
All aerodynamic.
Yeah. And Pierce arrows.
Oh.
There's a whole bunch of Pierce arrows
Aren't
up here.
they elegant?
Oh, nothing. One of the most elegant American cars ever made, the Pierce arrow, and the hood ornament on a Pierce arrow.
Oh, it's like a little statue. It's a work of art.
And Dodge Brothers.
You know, I never hear Dodge Brothers. I don't think of your brother.
Well, he was a Dodge fanatic. He had a 17.
Did he?
One of the earliest Dodge Brothers ever made, and I had a 28, which was the last Dodge Brothers ever made.
Oh my goodness.
This is about I think 25 Dodge Brothers, but the Dodge Brothers, they made their name by just innovating.
Right.
and getting disc wheels instead of spoke. Other people have been doing that, but that was something they really did. And hydraulic brakes.
Imagine that.
You could step on the brake pedal and the car would actually slow down and even stop.
Right.
Amazing.
So if anybody's looking for an early Christmas present for me, this would be the one. I love these Fords. They are so cute.
And convertibles.
Oh, it has to be a convertible.
Yeah, and both of the ones in the collection here are both convertibles. Oh my.
And it's a Mercury.
This is the Mercury version.
Right. I mean, they are just stinking cute. And I'll tell you what, if somebody wanted to get me a 48 Mercury convertible. Oh, check this out. This is the car to have.
Fairlane 500 convertible with a Continental kit.
Can you imagine backing that up, though? Seriously? But boy, talk about drive down the road in style.
Half of this car is behind the rear window.
That's the way you want it.
But that is just the look right there. I mean, nothing practical about a Continental kit.
No.
You know, people say, well, it frees up some trunk space because the tire's not in there. Oh, baloney. Can you imagine what you had to go through just to open the trunk?
Oh, well, it's a good thing it's got a step back there because you'll need it.
But the two-tone paint job,
man.
This is one spectacular car. And it seems like maybe half of the cars in the collection are all Fords.
It seems to be. There's a strong leaning toward Ford.
Well, they were the most popular car forever.
Oh, absolutely.
And check this, a Ford Model A V8 with the flathead V8 pickup truck.
Oh, neat.
Wire wheels, just absolutely amazing.
What in the world have they got in the back of this Ford? A security guard, keep your hands off the merchandise?
Yeah, if you run into one of those things for real, don't go anywhere near it. That would be what you call a baboon.
Yeah. Oh, man.
When they smile, it's just nothing but fangs and teeth and stuff, and they're big.
But that's when they do smile. It's when they're not smiling. You want to run.
Yeah. It's hard to tell the difference sometimes between a smile, a grimace, and a threat.
Yeah.
With this guy, it's a threat.
Well, he is smiling a little bit, so give him a banana. And this looks like a Ford Roadster or Cabriolet, about a 1934.
34?
Yeah.
I love the pre-war. Anyway, just...
Oh, it's cute.
Kind of right as the model ages, they kind of dropped that designation and they were just calling them the V8.
Oh, and check out the suicide doors. They're just elegant.
And there it is, the Ford flathead V8.
Oh, you can't beat that sound.
Nothing like it.
No. It also has the oil bath air cleaner.
One of the things I liked about that is if you ever ran low on oil, you could just dump that quart of oil into the engine.
Oh my. You don't want to ever get to that point, though. Always have a spare in the trunk.
There have been times, though, when I've dumped the oil out of the air cleaner into the engine.
Well, whatever saves the engine. Now, this is interesting. It's a flathead, and at first I thought there was only 5 cylinders, but there are 6 if you look close. Twin carburetors. What?
So it's probably somebody's idea of a high-performance setup?
Well, why did they start it up so we could at least hear it?
And I know I say it over and over and over and over and over again, but this is one of my favorite cars of all time. The early Model T Ford. I'm guessing this one to be a 1910, 11, maybe a 12. It's not a 9. 9 is my favorite year for these because they were red.
Oh, neat!
Well, they came in all kinds of colors. But later on, Henry Ford said, you can have any color you want as long as it's black.
Well, yeah.
And they stopped painting these things colors. Do you know the black paint is made out of gilsonite?
Oh, really?
Yeah, from the gilsonite mines, and they were brought down to the Rio Grande Railroad by the Uinta Railway, the narrow gauge railway, and anyway, it was turned into Ford paint.
Oh, that is neat.
And do check out the tread on those tires.
I was just looking at that.
It's words. It
Yes.
says non-skid.
Says them.
Well, tread was kind of an interesting thing, and these guys said if we put an angled tread and an aggressive tread on there, the car won't skid. So they just wrote the words non-skid over and over, and that's the tread.
Well, if it's down on words, I mean, I'll take them at their word. It won't skid.
Trust me, they do.
All cars do. I've seen them spin out of control.
Here we have a more modern Model T, a 1923 Model T. Look how many changes that car has gone through.
I can just see how many. Well, and the wooden box car body, that's interesting.
That's a homemade. A lot of people would take these Model Ts and throw the body away and build their own.
Well, like my dad did on occasion.
So this is a homemade wooden body on a Model T. Now, that looks sort of like a go-kart.
It sure does. Can we buy one?
It's sort of, and it certainly is sort of a go-kart, but a lot of people just use these things as automobiles.
Well, sure.
You know, what the heck? I went down the road, okay, but it's cobbled together kind of, but it's powered by a Smith motor wheel.
Oh.
And Smith made these things, and you could just attach those. Heck, you could attach them to your red wagon if you felt so inclined.
Right, and if you're a rat fink, you would have done that.
You would have done that. And all of a sudden, you got like 3 horsepower putting you down the street. And that's all that powers this thing is a Smith motor wheel on the back. And the absolute height of elegance in 1927 would be the dual cowl Cadillac.
Oh, boy.
So the people with the money rode in the enclosed section at the back behind the second cowl, and the chauffeur rode in the open out in front.
Right, and today I could see families putting their kids back in the back part.
That'd be more the tradition today.
Yes.
But back then, now that was where the money lived.
Oh, boy.
Speaking of Pierce Arrows,
look at this gem.
A 13 Speedster.
Wow, 13. 1913. What?
I mean, the Stutz Bearcat was the big car back here, and I'd take this over the Stutz Bearcat. This is just, talk about the perfect Speedster.
Oh, it's a Swiss watch on wheels.
And they have a couple of land speed record cars in the collection.
Right. I remember learning about these like along about in 4th grade because the Salt Flats is a big part of our Utah history.
This one was called the Desert Rose. Rather famous land speed record car. I think it broke a lot of records. I don't know that much about it other than people talk about it all the time. The Desert Rose.
Wow.
And then suddenly, there was this.
Yes, my heart just stopped.
It's just the history of this car and the city of Salt Lake. And, well, we already put up a show about it, and we've actually got a couple of shows on it. And after we put up the new show about this, we said the collection must have bought it because Butch was going to sell the car, Butch Graham, who owned it.
There it is.
And we got a phone call right after that from Butch, and we got caught up with Butch. Anyway, he still owns the car.
Right.
And he's just brought it up here because, again, a lot of the cars in the collection are just on loan. They belong to somebody else, and you know, as part of the foundation, people are bringing their cars up here and just displaying them. But it's got the entire history of this famous, heartbreaking car. And if you haven't watched the 2 shows on this, the first show really explains the whole history of this, and then the second one about how it was just suddenly here in the collection and stopped our hearts.
Right. I remember hearing about this again about in 4th grade and the whole story attached to it. I've always wanted to see this car and touch it, and I actually had to reach out and touch it. Signs all over, don't touch. But I just felt an emotional connection to this car.
And in the second show that we put up, there's a link to Butch Graham starting the car. And check this, a 1971 Mustang Mach 1 351 Ram Air.
Oh man, that was everybody's dream car in the day.
And Mike had one of these and drove it around forever, and I would go for rides with him in this car, and just an absolutely amazing car. They called this the flatback Mustang when it came out. But what I see here is a lot of influence from the Italian designers.
Oh, absolutely. I
see Di Tommaso in there. It's got a little bit of Pantera and a whole lot of Mangusta. And I see the Lamborghini Miata.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's all there. So it's very heavily influenced by the Italian supercars of the day. And a 1970 Dodge Challenger RT.
Didn't you have one of those?
I did, and in this exact color, that kind of orange-red. Mine was the SE RT, Special Edition RT. Other than that, it was this car exactly. And when Shelby started making Mustangs again, one of the earliest ones, this is the GT350H. A recreation of the early GT350H, the Hertz Rent-A-Racer.
Oh, is that what the H stands for? Because I was thinking of something else, but yeah.
And this has a Turbo 6 in it.
Whoa.
So, but an interesting car. And speaking of Shelby, now this is, of course, a recreation. Most of the ones you see are recreated Cobras, not the original Cobras. But there's certainly been a lot of Cobras in our life.
And check this out with the chameleon paint.
Wow. That just, I love that flip-floppy paint.
Oh, I love it.
Just spectacular.
Oh, look, a 1959 Ford Fairlane Police Interceptor.
And check out the gumball machine warning light on top.
Oh my gosh, is Barney Fife around somewhere?
This is what you did not want to see in your rearview mirror as you were hauling behind down the highway.
That's right.
And dozens of motorcycles.
Yes, right here's a 38 Harley Davidson.
You know, everybody loves a Harley.
Absolutely.
I mean, good grief, if not a Harley, an Indian.
Yeah, this is kind of a bicycle. Aren't they back in style again now?
Well, they're making Indians again, and the two big American motorcycle, the Harley Davidson and the Indian. But some of these Harleys are really, really early.
Right, and you can pedal as well as have the motor help you out.
And check this, an inline four-cylinder Pierce Arrow.
What?
That doesn't get much rarer than that.
No.
That's just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Oh, that's cool.
And check out the headlight here.
Yes.
My brother found one of these in an antique store, and it was one of his prized collections. Of course, he and I both collect lanterns. And he saw this in the antique store, and he said, gotta have it.
Absolutely.
And a Whizzer.
A Whizzer. Wow.
Now, Whizzer was most famous for their conversions that you would bolt to a regular bicycle. Mm-hmm. So you just bought yourself a bicycle and bolted a Whizzer to it.
Well, it sounds like a plan to me.
And that's what we have here. Oh my gosh.
Oh, this brings back memories of my grandpa, the one that had the shoe shop. He loved his tote goat.
Oh, they were just everywhere, and they were really cheap and about 5 horsepower. Go anywhere.
Oh yeah, they were a goat.
You'd shop them around town. You would take them out in the hills. You used them on the farm. And they're so popular that whoever up here was collecting them, I guess Erickson himself, just bought every tote coat he could lay his hands on.
Well, and my grandpa went through a couple of them, but I remember him taking us grandkids for rides on them.
Anyway, not just antique farm equipment up here, but tons and tons of automobiles and automobilia, I guess you would call this, gas station, whatever, gas pumps. And well, we've got one of these in our driveway.
We do, and I love it.
Anyway, just that was a mind-blowing part of this collection. I mean, it's almost like two completely different collections. The early farm equipment and all of the automotive stuff.
Right. For me, it's like stepping back in time because I'm not that old, but I grew up around this stuff because that's what was around when I was a kid.
Well, Well, anyway, there it is, the Erickson collection up in the mountains.
Oh, that was a lot of fun.
It's gorgeous. Well, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, and please even consider joining as a member by clicking on the join button and pitching in a few dollars a month toward the show. Anyway, it doesn't cost a darn thing to subscribe, so click on the blue button right here. Zoink! Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring, and we will see you here on Tuesday. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.